Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Score, the podcast that brings you the views and opinion of those in the news, brought to you by Khel Now. I am your host Ashish Negi. Our guest today has been involved with strengthening the foundation of Indian football for many years. He has held high position with reputed Indian Super League entities like Kerala Blaster, Chennaiyin FC, and is currently taking Hyderabad FC to new heights. More recently, he has played a key role behind Hyderabad FC establishing strategic tie-ups with Bundesliga giants Borussia Dortmund as well as Spanish outfit Marbella FC. So he has a warm welcome to Hyderabad FC co-owner Varun Tripuraneni, who is joining us from Goa. Hi Varun, how are you doing?
All good, Ashish. Hope you're doing well.
First of all, congratulations for Hyderabad FC performance till now. I personally hope that you guys will reach out to playoffs because the number of Indian talents you have under your ranks, I think it's good for overall Indian football development.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's been a good start for us, and yes, we're exactly halfway through the season. And if third at this stage, and we're very happy with the start so far. And yes, hopefully we do make it to the playoffs this season.
Okay, so let's start from beginning. Especially the establishment of Hyderabad FC. So you have been working with ISL clubs in past at the various roles. So what motivation you had behind starting your own club, and when you thought now it's time to have your own club, not to be part as an employee with other club?
So I think my roles previously played a huge role in this decision. Firstly, it obviously never had the there was no intention or idea to start it at so and so time. But I always wanted to be part of an ownership, have club of my own. And in fact, that's when that's how my journey in Indian football started. Way back in 2008-9 when I formed my own club in the Chennai Football League. But then owning a team in the ISL is obviously a massive step compared to owning a team in the regional league in Chennai. But as I said, the roles at Chennaiyin FC and Kerala Blasters, made that decision easy. And, I just felt, having that experience with two really good clubs previously and doing really meaningful roles, important roles there, I just felt it was, the right time to, sort of take the plunge. Otherwise, without that experience, I feel, even though if the opportunity was there, I might not have been ready for, such a big step in my career. So that obviously played a big role. And yes, obviously, Indian football is something which I've been following for quite some time. Just like yourself, and the intention, the motivation is always to, sort of be involved and set up a really professional club in India. And I'm really happy that once the opportunity came, we took it. And obviously, it wasn't a great start for us last season, but I feel we're well on course to achieve what we want to do.
Yeah, you touch upon that you already had a club in Chennai. So what was the idea behind choosing Hyderabad as a base? We all know about legacy of Hyderabad football in Indian football history, but if you see in present time, there was no proper footmark of Indian football in Hyderabad. So what was the idea behind picking Hyderabad as a base of a city for your club?
I think if you just look at the sports culture in Hyderabad, that's fairly strong, I would say. I'm not talking about just football alone, but if you look at badminton, it's Hyderabad's like the badminton capital of India now. With the Gopichand Academy, we've got players like Saina, Sindhu, lot more, who emerged from Hyderabad. Tennis as well. Hyderabad sort of made a mark with Sania Mirza doing well from Hyderabad. You got an IPL team with Sunrisers, Kabaddi franchise with Telugu Titans. So the sports culture we felt is fairly good, and even when we talk about football, because I'm quite familiar with the city, I found it very similar to a city like Bangalore, where pretty much every street has a five-a-side turf, and you have kids, college students, elders, playing at these turfs till way past midnight. So we knew the sports culture was strong, and there is fairly good participation for football, and that was sort of the encouraging point for us to pick Hyderabad as a base. And you touched upon the history of Hyderabad football, and I think that's always important when you are making such a decision, and it's also a motivation. You obviously want to revive that history, and you want to bring back the glory days of Hyderabad football, and that was a strong point for us to consider Hyderabad as a base. I would say the history of the sport in the region, and also in general, as I said, a strong sporting culture in general.
Yeah, you touched upon the first season, so let's discuss in detail. First season was not good for you, your club overall, and as a owner, as a face, it was not easy for you also. So what was the reason behind that? Also, there was a baggage from Pune city, players, foreign players, staff, coaching staff also. That also played a role. And how did, overall struggle on pitch, off the pitch, help you guys to become better club this season?
So I think firstly, when we put together the franchise, or we got the club, we knew it was going to be a challenge. I think if we had gone in, with the frame of mind that we will, probably make it to the top four or win the league, we would have really been demotivated or disappointed. But we did know, what we were taking up. And the challenges we were going to face, not just on the pitch, but as you said, off the pitch, we hardly had any time to work on our training pitches, because that does make a massive impact, for the team performance. We didn't have, luxury of time at our disposal. The main pitch as well had a lot of work to be done. Infrastructure at the stadium, there was a massive investment, which went in for the floodlights itself. So we were sort of prepared that we just have to get through the season. We didn't really have any expectations in terms of where we want the team to finish. We obviously didn't want to finish last, but that's where we sort of ended up last season. But yes, it was it was a very big challenge for us, and I would say time was one of the biggest factors. But again, once we got the season started, we knew it was time to start planning really for the future. The next season and beyond, and that's when we knew we needed to have a strong team off the pitch as well. We brought in Sujay, who has experience with Mumbai, ATK Goa previously as director of football, and it was from end December is when we really started planning for this season and the future, and we put in incredible amount of work during right from middle of last season, just focusing on the future. Unfortunately, we finished the season last. We did hope we could finish a few places higher, but again, we just took the positives, whatever we could from last season, the way we ended the season, and we knew we just had to focus forward.
Yeah, so you talked about there was not many expectation on the sporting side for the last season, but club went ahead to basically part ways with Phil Brown. Was that a first step towards rebuild, hiring somebody like Albert Roca, give him time also to analyze the current squad, see a couple of matches from TV or from on ground, maybe to see what players he want to retain, who he want to release. So was that idea behind parting ways with Phil Brown?
So Phil was honestly a very tough decision. Phil's a great person, and we have a great relationship even now. We still discuss the games of this season. That's how good a rapport I have with Phil. And there's mutual respect. He still has a lot of respect for me personally, and also Hyderabad FC. He's obviously seen a lot of youngsters from Pune, FC Pune City, and last season, and players like Yasir, Ashish, who also played for him, are doing well now. So I'm sure he's very happy for us now. And yes, again, it was a time in December, Jan, where we felt we needed to, look at a completely new, sort of a setup in the technical team, and that's where we went with a person like Albert Roca, who we knew has a good experience in India, knows the league, knows the players fairly well. And yes, it was a decision which we felt we needed to take at that point in the interest of the club. And even though Albert was going to sort of take charge only from this season, we knew it was important he's on board well in advance. Look at what changes need to be done. And we also had a little bit of time in the Jan transfer window as well, where and we knew the last, I think, 6-7 matches we had, we knew we were going to use it more to try out some players. In fact, in that transfer window, we brought in Shavik, Liston, Hitesh. Unfortunately, Hitesh was not fit, so he didn't feature in too many matches. He didn't feature at all, I think, in the second half of the season. But I think the changes we made, worked well then, and they're paying off, for us this season. And Albert played a huge role till he was with us. But the intention was clearly to give him time, to prepare well for this season.
And how tough was to convince Albert Roca to take the project initially, and what kind of role he played to build this current squad of Hyderabad FC? Of course, you guys doing very well now, and he's also in Barcelona doing well with FC Barcelona. But what was his role, to build this current squad of Hyderabad FC, and how tough was to convince him to sign for Hyderabad FC for you?
Tough. It was quite tough, actually. So, in fact, I met Albert in Doha. That was the easiest or the quickest place, where we could, probably have a quick face-to-face meeting, to discuss about the project. And what made it tougher was I met him the day after we lost 5-1 to Kerala. So obviously he, obviously as any coach, he was a little worried about, the position in the table, our ability to attract good players, youngsters, or experienced players. These were questions he had. And, obviously the transition, he was aware of the transition, and he did have some concerns about it. But we did have a very, sort of a good meeting, good long meeting. I think it lasted about 13-14 hours, pretty much at a stretch. And we did discuss, the intentions, not just short term, but also long term. It was a good meeting, and we were happy he took it up, because I think, to take up the project when, we're bottom of the table on a losing streak is not easy. But again, we quickly got down to work. You asked about the role he played in recruitment. I think it's fairly significant and crucial, the work he put in. We were able to sort of retain some of the experienced players, and even with foreigners initially, Albert was clear in the type of players he wanted, the characteristics required, for him to build a winning team. And I think he and Sujay, together put in a lot of effort during, the good 6-7 months while Albert was working with us. And I would say good 70-80% of the squad was sort of down with with Albert and Sujay around. So it was an important phase. Unfortunately, we obviously couldn't work together when when the season started. But I would say it was an important phase for the club. It wasn't an easy situation, when you trying to attract good quality foreign players as well. But I think Albert played a role, which was very important.
And of course, FC Barcelona came calling for him. So when this thing happened, Barcelona approached you guys regarding it. How did you and club handle that situation? Because that was not easy. ISL was just on the horizon for you guys, and it was an important season for you guys. Whatever happened last season. So how did you handle that situation? And did you try to convince Albert to stay in ISL, or it was that of course you want to work with FC Barcelona, nobody want to say? What kind of conversation you had with Albert Roca regarding the same?
So, well, initially we were in a bit of a shock when we heard that, and it was both ways. One was Albert wanting to leave, and then that it was FC Barcelona. So it was it was a very tough situation for us, and I'm sure for Albert also, because he there was a lot of effort he also put in for the Hyderabad FC project, and but yeah, I mean, while initially we did try speaking to him that we've done some good work together, and our willingness or keenness to continue it, we knew that it was not going to happen. After a point of time, we knew it was not going to happen. And I think the important thing there was the timing of the the opportunity for him, because I think we were just 2-3 weeks away from pre-season. And so we knew we didn't have much time to lose, and we knew that we had to forget this and move on quickly. And I think we wasted very little time, and we started looking out for replacement for Albert. And we're very happy that we've got Manolo, who's also Manolo Roca. But yes, but it's been a great journey ever since.
So, of course, you talked about Manolo Roca. So he had a similar playing style, or you can say philosophy, as Albert. So did Albert Roca played any role in his appointment? Did he recommended, or some coaches to guys from which you got the Manuel Roca also?
No, so I wouldn't say role in the sense, not in terms of the appointment bit, but definitely I was taking feedback from Albert. Albert did mention that he heard about the decision, and he was actually very happy with Manolo joining us. He felt he was one of the coaches who could sort of take on from the work which was started, and he felt we got the right coach on board. And I think Albert and Manolo did have one or two conversations about the players, and Albert gave Manolo the feedback on the players who were signed.
I can see Albert is very proud of Hyderabad FC. So I just was checking his Twitter feed one day, and
he's
very regular to Hyderabad FC games and very particular about details of the players who are playing. And also, I think that's very good overall proud moment for Indian football, not just Hyderabad FC. Yeah. Right. So talking about Manuel Roca, I think he has done fantastic job till now. Talking about your season. Yes. So how you take this season till now, and what was the difficulties you guys faced because of this season is not normal for everybody, and there were different challenges. So what kind of challenges you faced before season started, and what are the challenges you guys facing right now, and overall your view on the season till now for Hyderabad FC?
Well, overall, it's been extremely satisfying season so far. On the pitch, off the pitch, yes, it's a strange season in a way. the entire season in one venue, the operational challenges, with players and staff in a bubble. But I think the league has played a massive role in ensuring, the smooth, sailing through of the season. They've also made it, a lot easier for us, when it comes to the venue operations, etc. I think that's something which we've got to recognize and credit to ISL, for really making this season such a success. For us, I think the key was, once we got our team together, we knew we've got to start well. When I mean start well, right from getting the preseason right, the logistics, the COVID testing, etc. We knew we've got to get all those sorted on time. And I think we've, again, during the off season, one thing we did well was put together a really strong management and operations team. And, we had people who have had experience in previous ISL clubs. And I feel we were able to sort of put things, organize things quite easily. There were obviously challenges with, I thought the biggest stress was the visas and travel for the foreign players. And we were lucky to, have them in probably the timeline we sort of anticipated. Maybe 1 or 2 days delay here and there. But I think we did fairly well on that front. And also, most of our foreigners were from Spain. Apart from the Spanish, it was just one Australian and a Brazilian. So I think that made it slightly easier as well for us. And I think initially it was really about getting the logistics sorted. And once that was taken place, I think we were well on our way, having a good start to the season. But like currently where we are, as we discussed, halfway through the season, third in the table, I think we're extremely happy. There is obviously a long way to go. The table is fairly tight. Not many points separate, we in third, right to the bottom of the table. So, just 1-2 wins back to back for any team, sort of tilts the table in their favor. So we've got to just continue, the good work, and hopefully we can get more wins this month and be there in the reckoning for the playoffs right till the end. And we've got 10 games in the next 42 days, and pretty much all teams are in the same scenario. So we've just got to continue working hard, and hopefully we'll have the luck factor as well here and there, which is also important.
So you talked about pushing the table, that's one thing. And there is another factor that why Hyderabad FC has become favorite for neutrals, somebody like me who don't have any club in my city, is that the number of Indian players you have in your playing 11 and overall squad. So
right,
as a co-owner, as a club, how you guys made sure that there's a right balance between, young players and the experienced player. I also saw on the matches, Aridane encouraging your young players, he's playing he is different Aridane compared to the previous season Aridane.
Yeah.
Talking more to the young Indian players regarding where they need to be pass the ball or where they need to make the runs. So what kind of role you guys have played as a club, to get the right balance between the youth and the experience, and how did you handle these number of young Indian players in your rank?
Yeah. So I think again, right from January, that's halfway through last season when we started looking at players, some to come in at the Jan transfer itself. We just felt, that experience, there was little lack of experience missing. Obviously, we had players like Adil who's got a lot of experience, not just for club, but for national team. And we knew we had some really good youngsters coming through then, like Ashish, Yasir, Abhishek Haldar, Sahil Panwar, maybe due to injuries last season, they got many more starts than maybe than anticipated or planned earlier, which which worked well actually for us. But we just felt we needed a little more experience in certain departments. That's why we knew we needed a good experienced goalkeeper, and Subrata was one of the key reinforcements for us, and he was one of the first few signings. And along with Subrata, again, Shawik came in the Jan transfer window for us, and we signed him on a long term. And we always knew we had a lot of young talent, and as you said, we needed that little bit of experience to balance it out. And with regards to foreigners as well, I mean, you touched upon Aridane. In fact, now at the stadium we watch without crowd, so we hear. The players talk, encourage, and that's the most I've seen any players sort of encourage young players. Aridane does that that role extremely well. I think he's a great character on and off the pitch. Unfortunately, I've never got to meet him till now, but a really good player to have with us. And also we knew with this season, played in a single venue, and all players in a bubble. We knew it was important to get the right characters, and more than while quality is an important factor with recruitment, we felt this year we needed players who we knew who would be good when it comes to having a good team spirit in the squad. And Aridane was one such player we felt was going to be very important to us. And obviously he worked with Tangboy in Odisha last season, and Tangboy was extremely positive about him. And I've never seen him push us for any signing like he did for Aridane.
Yeah, and you touch upon Thangbai also, and he's the coach who has worked with lots of youngsters at Shillong Rajong and then various ISL clubs.
Yes.
And I think I know him personally that he can speak number of languages, and then you have lots of Indian players. So you have somebody like Thangbai who can speak 4 or 5 Indian regional languages. English, yeah. So that also helped. Yeah. So before we move to the international partnership part, I just want to ask 2 more questions from my side. First is about Manuel Roca. He's very emotional. I have seen that, and there's one statement which was gave to the broadcaster in the post-match conference that if I am the owner, I will sack my coach right now. So do you talk to him after the match, that, we know that he's emotional to, calm him down, or when you see this kind of statement, how do you react to that? Or maybe how dressing room react to that?
No, so I actually didn't realize he made that statement, till maybe a day or 2 after that. But yes, I mean, people did say that. He told me, and that's when I actually saw the clip again. But no, I have regular interaction with Manolo, and he took it very personally. It he, like, even the other day when I spoke to him over a call, he did mention about the Goa game. I mean, I think it obviously hurts when was it Goa? Yeah, I think it was a Goa game. Yes, so we were leading 1-0, and just when we thought we were going to end the year well, because it was the last game of the year for us. From a 3-pointer to 1 maybe, and then it was 0. So no, but he's just been great. He's obviously come in last minute with very little knowledge about Indian football. Less knowledge about Indian players as well, but he's settled in extremely well, and even though we've not really had face-to-face interactions, there's that calmness about him, that experience which definitely shows, and the way he's worked with the young players has been terrific. We couldn't have asked for more, and I just hope we, now just continue the success and build on it and finish the season strong.
So you touch upon the young players. This is my last question of this section. There is Akash Mishra, there is Ashish Rai, there is Mohammad Yashir. There are lots of players you have under your rank. Sai Pamar also. There's one young player, of course, worldwide in football. People talk about goal scorer and player who can show some skill on the pitch. He is Liston Colaco. People like me who have been following Indian football for years, we know about him since his Goa Pro League days and how highly FC Goa management rated him, throughout his with FC Goa. So, of course, we have Sujay who might have worked with him past, so that's another factor. But I just want to ask that, how difficult for a Hyderabad FC to sign him from FC Goa, because you're requesting them to release him. You're not playing much under Sergio Lovera. I think that also played the role. And then to bring him to Hyderabad FC also this season, I have also feel that, Roca has used him very well. He started him some game, but I think he has made more impact coming from bench when defense is tiring. He can stretch them. He can show his skills. So, word on Liston Colaco overall, and now there is talks of national call-up, for him. So, how happy you are, that you made a gamble, on a youngster who is a very talented, but to get that gamble right, word on him and overall his signing from FC Goa.
Yeah. So yes, I think you mentioned his with him not getting the game time at Goa. I think that was maybe the tipping point really for him, where I think he felt he needed to go to a club where he gets the opportunities, and we not having a great season at that point. We knew we needed some freshness in the squad, and again Sujay just joined us maybe a month before that. The Liston signing happened, and he was obviously, as you said, he knows Liston very well. Seen him through the ranks. When he was playing for the reserves, or a little bit he played for the first team. So he was always extremely positive about Liston, and I think it was the game time which was really the crucial factor, which sort of made him realize that he was going to get that at Hyderabad FC. But ever since he's joined the squad, he was a bit. I think he had a little bit of niggle initially when he trained. I think Albert's first session with us in January was, I think, Liston's first as well, and we always knew the talent he had it. In fact, I saw Liston play in the Santosh Trophy when I was at Kerala Blasters. So I came to watch. I think it was a semi-final of the Santosh Trophy that year, Kerala and Goa, and I think he scored 2 or 3, maybe a hat-trick. That game. So we all knew the talent he had, and I'm really, really happy that it's he's delivering. Because there's one thing about doing well in training, or know that you have the talent, but to actually get the right performances that deserves is key, and I'm really happy he got the goals last two the last game, and they were amazing goals. Obviously the first one was brilliant. We were watching it in the stands, and it was right in front of us, so it was we had the best view of that bit of magic from Liston. But now I think he's got to, he knows he's going to get the chances. I think he's just got to continue working hard. And as you said, Manolo has utilized Liston's services well. And I think Liston understands that, he will start a few games. He will be off the bench for a few games. But yeah, the belief is there, and I'm really happy he's doing well. And as you mentioned, even the other youngsters like Ashish, Akash, Yazir, Hitesh has been extremely well, has done extremely well. And Sana as well, he was lacking game time at FC Goa. In fact, I think the only start he made was against us last season, and he won the Hero of the Match award, if I'm not wrong. So I'm happy. I'm happy they've made the best use of the opportunities they've got, and hopefully we'll have a lot more pushing the selectors for national team spot.
Yes, Sana is another signing which has went under radar,
Yes.
In this transfer market of the last season. And of course, Son has
Correct.
played under Singcho at Shillong Lejong, and I think he is potential
Right.
national team centre back because of his physique and everything. So we hope all of you youngsters get the call up soon.
Yeah.
And Hyderabad FC fans are also a bit worried that FC Goa might come back again for Liston Colaco in future. So you need to make sure that he has a long-term deal with Hyderabad FC. Yeah. So let's move from on the pitch to the off the pitch, where you played major role. Of course, association with international club like Dortmund and Marbella FC. I was in Germany. I met Dortmund executive, and they were very selective
Nice.
on what they want to do in India. And
Right.
various Indian clubs were talking to them for the partnership. But their idea was totally different, that they want to get involved in youth development. How you convince them that Hyderabad FC is the right call for them to get into the India market? And of course, then once you get Dortmund, what was the reason behind getting some like Marbella FC in Spain in some kind of association with the club?
Right. So for us, again, right from the first team, if you see, we had a lot of youngsters. I mean, a lot of them transitioned from Pune as well, and we knew the focus, would be on the grassroots and the youth development part. And it was important to get the right partner there. We knew that we were sure we wanted a partner, purely because we're starting from scratch. Because in Hyderabad, we had to do it from the beginning, and we wanted to do it the best in the business when it comes to grassroots and youth development. And that's where my personal rapport with Borussia Dortmund definitely helped. I mean, we've had a number of interactions with them when I was at Kerala, or my personal projects, and that definitely made it a lot easier. That trust factor was there, and they also knew that working with a club which is just starting off would be easy for us to maybe understand and implement things much better in the right way right from the very beginning. So that definitely helped with Dortmund. And while Dortmund, the partnership was there, we also felt we needed an opportunity for some of our youth players, like maybe the under 15 or under 18 or the reserve players, to get good exposure, good training exposure abroad. And that's where we felt a club like Marbella FC in the Segunda B, they actually narrowly missed out on promotion last year. We felt that's like a good sort of level, or competitive exposure which was required for some of our young players. And again, we've seen a lot of foreign players coming from the Segunda and the Segunda B divisions, and we felt it is an ideal league or club for us to partner. So that partnership will actually give opportunities for our youth players, especially the under 18 reserves, to actually spend a lot more time training with Marbella's youth and the reserve teams. While that could be a challenge, we felt at a club like Borussia Dortmund, we felt this partnership would actually give them a lot more exposure.
Okay. So, of course, both the partnership main focus was youth development, and exchange program. Yeah. So, like going ahead in next 2-3 years, what will be the parameter to measure the success of both this initiative for you? If you sit down this 3 year down the line from here.
Right. So, I think like with Borussia Dortmund, the partnership is focused more on the grassroots, you can say. So, the coach education was one of the key aspects when we discussed with BVB when we were signing the partnership. And in Hyderabad, what we've noticed is, while there are a fairly good number of coaches, there is that importance to, there is a necessity to have a quality coach education program. We just felt, a lot of programs, like academies, clinics were very unorganized there, and we just felt, a partnership like Dortmund will help. So for us, with the Dortmund partnership, I think the key parameter or the way to, measure the success would be, maybe the number of coaches who, come through the ranks, more participation of kids at the grassroots level, because we also plan to launch a lot of grassroots leagues in the city in the next couple of months once the pandemic situations well under control. So I feel participation, generating that interest in the sport, lot more coaches going through the coach education programs and doing well. I feel those would be the parameters to measure success of the partnership. While Marbella, I would say it's pretty much the players sort of graduating from the U15s to the U18s to reserves to the first team, because the talented ones will get an opportunity to have that extra bit of exposure there. And we really hope that the stint there, like it could be like 2 months, 3 months, or much longer, that would result in better performance, or getting that good international exposure, which will definitely be helpful.
Down the years, we have seen various partnership of these European clubs with the Indian clubs or companies or I-League or ISL clubs. What are the lessons you guys learned before taking decision on both the partnership? Any major takeaways from the previous experience?
See, I think we didn't rush. I feel because we were very clear, as you mentioned in the beginning. Even Dortmund have been very selective with partners in India, and I think they've been very clear that this is the route they want to take. While some clubs are looking at maybe equity partnerships, etc., they were very clear that their focus is only on grassroots and youth development. So I think as long as that clarity is there from both the partners, the ISL club and the foreign and the international clubs, I think that's the most important part. And with them, I think that's where the philosophy is matched, and we're fairly confident it'll be a successful partnership. I think the key is to know exactly what you want from the partnerships and have the right expectation, because if we go in with the expectation that we want so many players to play abroad every few years, I think that would be unrealistic, and it will take that effort from both sides.
Yeah. So let's wrap this part and now move towards talking about your personal journey in Indian football and overall. Of course, you have been in different position as executive in the different clubs. What was the major challenges and differences you have found between both the roles as an owner, as an executive, and your journey from the executive and owner? How you want to sum that up?
Well, in terms of role, I wouldn't say too much of a difference, at least for now. Again, I've had an opportunity to work with great bosses, great owners, Mr. Prasad at Kerala Blasters, Mrs. Vita Dani at Chennai. Obviously learned a lot. I mean, it's just not the last, I wouldn't say it's not just the 1 year, the couple of years in Kerala towards the end, or my last year at Chennai, but it was right from 2014, because I started with Kerala Blasters as a team manager, then heavily into operations initially at Chennai, and then the CEO role at Kerala. So it actually gave me a lot of confidence, and I learned everything in these last 5-6 years, right from the team manager's role. So I know exactly what is required right from there till managing the club overall. So that experience definitely helped. In terms of the role, I'm hands-on like I was at Kerala Blasters, even now at HFC. So not much a change at the moment, and I would like to be sort of hands-on at least for the next couple of years. So I'm enjoying it right now, and let's see how it goes.
But do you feel that decision making is quicker when you are the one who making decisions, not the someone else? Do you feel that that's one of the major change between both the rules?
Yes, that I would say that's probably the major difference. I would say yes.
Okay. So you have worked with state league, state federation. Also, you have been president of Chennai Football Association, and
Right.
and we all talk about that state federation need to do more. They need to get involved more, especially at the state level, because that's only the Indian football will grow. So, what are the challenges of as a football administrative in India, and how difficult it is to to have a football activities throughout the state in India?
See, so I had a very short stint as the president of the Chennai Football Association. I think this was just before the first year of ISL, and what I realized was there's a lot you can do, and like whatever we did in that that short term we had. It was a fairly young team then at the Chennai Football Association, and we really enjoyed the that 6 to 8 months term where we the league was the major challenge. If you look at the activities for the year organizing the Chennai League, I'm not sure how many hundreds of matches it was across right from the senior division to the lower division. But I just felt all it requires is just some basic planning and getting the organization right. I think the biggest challenge I would say is probably the mindset sometimes. The league, the sport has evolved in the country. You've got the emergence of ISL now. I League is, you have new teams added to the I League as well. I just feel, sometimes there's that lack of motivation to, sort of see your teams from the local league in the I League or the ISL. So I would say the major challenge is, the mindset of people sometimes. And but in my short stint as the president of the federation, there was that it's not very tough, to build a calendar of football activities for the year and to implement it. And even with sponsors, I mean, obviously it's got to be financially viable, and with whatever you're doing. But I think there are enough corporates or players in the market who are keen to sort of invest in sport. And I think it's really the way we build the calendar and present it really.
Yeah. So and we all know that we have enough talent in India, because, for example, Tamil Nadu, let's talk about Tamil Nadu especially. Chennaiyin FC was there in ISL, they were doing fine, because ISL have a different model that time. But the emergence of Chennai City FC with the local players, now we have so many Tamil players playing in Indian Super League or I League. So that tells us there is enough talent, for state federation or for local clubs to nurture. So do you feel that overall as a club owner, as a league and as an ecosystem, we need to do more activities at our own states, all the clubs, all the federations?
Yes. So I think that is an important point. I think the Chennai League, which saw players like Nanda, Susai, such players to really flourish, or that was really a platform for them to really showcase their skills. Now I think, from what I know, it's not been happening now for the last 1 year or so, which is extremely unfortunate, because this is a time when till then, like a couple of years back, I know when I was in Chennai football, I had my own club. You would always hear people say that we don't have enough players in playing in the professional leagues. But now, once we have so many players, unfortunately, there's no league happening in Chennai. So I think that's something which the federations have to work on, and ensure that that platform is there for young players to to sort of prove themselves, and get these opportunities. And also for us in Hyderabad, the first thing we noticed is that, or we felt which is required, is to work with the federation to ensure that the league is, I wouldn't say not professional, but it can be much better. So that's one area we'd like to work closely with the federation. And we've just had initial discussions, but even for a club like ours at Hyderabad, it's important that there is a really good state league, and like even the grassroots activities we are doing, or any of the other ISL clubs are doing, it's important that there are competitive matches for these players to actually be part of. And yes, once the opportunities are there, that's the only way we'll know how talented these boys are. Like, for example, I had my club in the Chennai league, and I've seen a lot of Edwin, Ajit now, who's in Bengaluru FC, Pandian, who's not had much opportunities at Chennai. But when I saw them actually play in the league, I thought I wasn't sure how far they would be able to go. Maybe I thought I-League, but all of a sudden now you have so many of them actually being part of ISL, and that's only because they've got the platform, and obviously Rohit's done very well with Chennai City to give them the opportunities, and they've made use of the opportunities. So I'm sure there are a lot more Edwins or Nandas in the Chennai league alone who would do well if given the platform. So I think the state league, I think very few state leagues are strong and competitive, and I think that's got to be the minimum expectation when it comes from the state federations.
Yeah. Before we move to the next part, Hyderabad FC is a very young club, but I just want to ask, when Hyderabad FC fans can hope for a local talent coming from Hyderabad FC and playing for Hyderabad FC senior team or youth teams, which we can say, okay, this is our own.
Yeah. So we've so it'll take time. I think, as I said, we've got to really focus at the grassroots level. We've got to obviously build our own scouting talent base. We need to have the right set of coaches as well in the city. So I just feel there's a long way to go. But at the same time, whatever best talent is available in the state, we'd want them to be part of HFC, and we will give them the best coaching possible, the best exposure possible. It's tough to put together a proper timeline, but our intention is definitely to have players coming through our youth setup in future. And I'm sure again we spoke about the international club partnerships, where Dortmund and Marbella will play a crucial role in this, and this could be one of the parameters to judge the success of the partnership, because we are working on grassroots local talent, and I'm sure the investments in grassroots for us will pay off.
Okay, so just before we wrap this up, any idea for the plan of Hyderabad FC Academy? Are you guys thinking about it, or at what state is the planning is right now?
Yeah. We have had some positive discussions, a couple of people in Hyderabad, and we're still debating on what sort of a model we should go with. We had something in mind, but now the thinking has changed slightly. But in the next couple of maybe months, or maybe before the ISL season finishes, we are hopeful to actually announce our full year grassroots calendar, which would also talk about our academy plans. This is something which we're working on pretty much a daily basis. Even though we're in separate bubbles, and a team is sort of working in from different parts, like grassroots, the academy, youth development. This is something which we are in serious discussions on a daily basis. Even someone like Tangboy, who's currently with the first team, has been spending quite a bit of time in the last 1 or 2 weeks, with regard to these discussions.
I think we are waiting for the good news. So let's talk about now Kerala Blaster. I think I personally feel that the CEO role at Kerala Blaster in past or now also, now it's the director of football. It's one of the most challenging job in Indian Super League for the various seasons. So how you sum up that job and what you learned from that overall reflection, the job, any regrets you have, and what is the experience you have learned from the managing the club in the Indian Super League?
Well, I think the experience was obviously great. I mean, I'm not talking about just the 2 years towards the end, because I mean, I was also involved in year one. It was a different role. It sort of gave me an insight to how Kerala football would be, because when we turned up for our first home game in 2014, it's something none of us expected. It was a massive crowd. I can't remember what the attendance was that day. I think we played Goa in our first home game, and it was amazing. And for me to go back there as CEO was obviously a big honor for me. And it didn't go as well as I would have liked it, or the club would have liked it. But I obviously gained a lot of experience. There were a lot of initiatives we took, in those 2 years. I think hopefully some results will come from what we've, sort of started off with then. In terms of regrets, well, it's tough to pinpoint any. Obviously, we would have wanted to obviously be in the playoffs position as a minimum both the years, but it wasn't meant to be. The last year wasn't very good, but the year previously was, I would say, slightly better. When I joined there in 2017, it was a bit of a challenge, because it was the first year the league was moving from a shorter version to a longer league. And we didn't have youth teams at all. So the challenge or the task was to put together the youth teams in place. And while our expectations weren't that high, we just wanted to focus on the process, get the right scouting selection process done. We did extremely well actually that year. The under 15s reached the playoffs. Under 18s actually reached the finals. We lost to Lajong in the finals that year. We put together the reserve team, and we finished top of the league stages. We finished top of the group in the league stages in the I-League second division as well. And plus we had emergence of players like Sahal making it to the first team because of his performance in with the reserves. So that way I would just look at maybe the positives that year, and and I would say maybe not continuing. Maybe that work could have been better. Continuing that, maybe not being able to continue that would probably be the only regret. But otherwise, it was a great experience for me.
What does it make this Kerala Blaster job, as a head coach also, or as an executive also, challenging? It's just fan pressure or the expectation? Does it make any difference?
I think the pressure is there for any club. To be honest, it's tough to pinpoint. One reason or two reasons. Specifically. For maybe the lack of good performances, you can say. But obviously, Kerala Blasters have the biggest fan base in the league by far. So obviously that does, increase the pressure slightly for head coaches. But honestly, it's tough to pinpoint, like any particular reason for not having success, the club probably deserves to. But but um, but again, the league itself, is ISL itself is a very young league. A lot of people in the league for the first time. A lot of people who coming in are from non sort of sporting backgrounds, and we're all learning every day. And I think a lot of youngsters are running clubs as well, and I'm sure and everyone's getting better year on year. So it's not just one club or two clubs. I think everyone's gaining the right experience, and I'm sure the club will definitely start getting the success on the field the fans deserve.
Talked about ISL as a young league. So can you tell about the early days of ISL, the impact of signing various marquee players, something like Marco Materazzi at Chennaiyin FC, how that helped overall football ecosystem in India and to be what ISL is right now at what is that in 2014 and 2015 season?
I think there's a lot of difference. Like when ISL first started, 2014-15 season, and now. Obviously, initially the challenge was to sort of establish as the Premier League in the country, attract fans. We always knew that the viewership and the fan base for European clubs is extremely high in India. And it's not restricted to just one or two cities. I think every city or a town have pretty good, pretty sizable number of fans for clubs like United or an Arsenal or a Chelsea. So I think the challenge was to obviously, get them to support a club, from their own city now. And I think from that point of view, having the marquee names definitely help. We grew up watching, players like Perez or Materazzis, etc. in their prime, and it was a big deal, watching them play for our clubs in India. And I think from that point of view, it was important to have the marquee names. But if you look at the last couple of years, just the recruitment of foreign players has changed completely. The average age of foreign player maybe was 34, 35, 36 even in year one. And I think now it's maybe late 20s or, in about that 30. So, and these are players who, are actually playing good competitive leagues in other parts of the world. So, and also I think the move from a shorter season to a longer season, that's completely changed the way, we run the football clubs, the way we recruit, even engaging the fans, it's from engaging the fans for a 2.5 month league to, a 6-7 month league is a challenge, and it still is. It's work in progress. A lot of clubs are still, working on, the fan engagement part, trying to keep them engaged through the year, not just, the 2 to 3 months of the year. So it's work in progress, but I think there's been a massive shift from where we started off to now. We never spoke about, player transfers, transfer window. So this is something which is, and clubs have started seeing revenue come in through transfers as well. Indian players or even a couple of foreign, players being transferred to other clubs. So from that point of view, I think it's been a big change, and it's for the good. And also now international clubs, having their presence in India through ISL. The City Group with Mumbai, or other partnerships like what we've done with Borussia Dortmund, Goa with Red Bull Leipzig. I would say positives all around.
And also now we have Kolkata Giants in the league. So overall, do you think that has made this season more interesting and more appealing to the overall TV audience and the sponsors and the other stakeholders in the game?
Yes, definitely. I think with ATK Mohun Bagan and East Bengal, being part of the ISL was the big news, of the season. And yes, while we don't have crowds this season, I mean, we as Hyderabad FC, we're really looking forward to playing both the clubs in Kolkata. And I mean, I think a lot of fans in Hyderabad would be excited to see Mohun Bagan and East Bengal play in Hyderabad as well. So I mean, it's a great move, very positive move, and it's good development for Indian football.
Yeah, and just talking about development of Indian football, there is a AFC roadmap in place. Do you think clubs are not ready for the relegation and promotion? To get into ISL or to get into whatever the second league, which is I League. Do you think ISL club need more time to protect their overall value to not have relegation, or do you think it's time that you have something on the bottom of the table also?
See, I think there's again. Firstly, it's still a very young league, and I think a lot of clubs are sort of getting grips to sort of getting the right teams in place. The running of the clubs have become a lot more professional. It's always been the case, from the start. But again, just adapting to a longer season. A lot of clubs, just started setting up academies in their respective cities. So we've just started off. I think the league is run extremely, extremely well. I think a lot of foreign players who come to India for the first time have expressed this openly as to how surprised they are with how well the league is run in India. Having said that, if it's early or if you're ready for relegation promotion, I'm not sure, even though we know that that's where it will be headed to eventually. But but on the other side of things, I mean, we would, it's important to have, competitive, extremely competitive, second and third tiers as well. We touched about, the state leagues being, the importance of having good state leagues. I think all this plays a role, and all these have to sort of fall in place before, the promotion and relegation comes in, because it's easy to just have 2 tiers and have the promotion and relegation. But I think it's important to, have an extremely solid second tier, like just how it is, in other parts, like for example, the Premier League and Championship. We know how competitive the Championship is, and a lot of players, we've a lot of English players, who have experience in Championship, who played in ISL, tell us it's one of the toughest leagues. Like the number of matches they play. I think it's much more than the number of matches a Premier League club, plays. So I think while the federation is doing their bit, with new teams coming in the I League, I just feel that it is important to have strong, second tier, third, and also the state leagues in place.
I think you also feel that the league is too young to have relegation at this time. I think, and everybody have their own opinion, so we have admitted.
Yes.
Just last question before we wrap the show. What are the next few things in the future you're looking for Hyderabad FC? You already have international partnership. Club is doing well. You have a young players. So what are the key things now going ahead as a club owner for you to do in next couple of years?
So I think the important thing now is to really set up our youth teams. That's something which we did not focus on last season, because we hardly had any time. This year, obviously, we don't have much happening at the youth level. While we have had time, as I said, having the league in one venue has actually given us time to plan, things outside, off the pitch well. I feel are important. The most important thing now is to focus on the grassroots, have like a really a strong grassroots plan, calendar. In fact, we want to sort of announce the plan, the calendar for the full 12 months well in advance. And we want all the stakeholders, including schools, the kids, the principals of schools, all of them to be on board with that. And we really want to focus on our youth teams. I think we've seen the limited success we've got with with the young players in the squad, and we don't want to sort of deviate from that philosophy. And that I would say is the most important point to focus on off the field.
Yeah. So it was an absolute pleasure to have Varun Tripuraneni with us today. And to our listeners and viewers, you can listen to all the episode of Beyond the Score podcast at your leisure on Spotify, iTunes, JioSaavn, Gaana, and other major platforms. You can also watch them in video form on our YouTube channel, which is Khel Now TV. Until next time, this is your host Ashish Negi signing off.